In ancient Greece, the roles and status of women varied significantly across different city-states, reflecting the diverse cultural and political landscape of the time. While women were generally considered inferior to men and had limited rights, there were nuances in their societal positions. Interesting details reveal that Spartan women enjoyed more freedom and rights compared to their counterparts in Athens. For example, Spartan women were known for their physical strength and were involved in athletic competitions, such as foot races. They were also encouraged to participate in public life and were respected for their contributions to the military strength of Sparta. These aspects set Spartan women apart from the more secluded and domestic roles of Athenian women. In terms of numbers, it is estimated that in Sparta, women made up about 35% of the population, a relatively high percentage compared to other city-states. This higher proportion of women in Sparta could have contributed to their more visible roles in society. Additionally, Spartan women were often praised for their role in ensuring the continuation of strong and healthy offspring, which was a significant aspect of Spartan society. Overall, the status of women in ancient Greece was complex and multifaceted, with each city-state offering a unique perspective on the roles and rights of women in society. In Sparta, women held a unique and esteemed position in society, unlike their counterparts in other city-states of ancient Greece. Spartan women were known for their physical strength and were actively involved in physical training and athletic competitions, such as foot races, to ensure they were fit and capable of bearing strong and healthy offspring. This emphasis on physical fitness for women was a distinctive feature of Spartan society, reflecting the importance placed on producing robust and resilient citizens. The participation of women in physical activities also contributed to their overall sense of empowerment and autonomy. Interestingly, Spartan women were not confined to the domestic sphere, but were also encouraged to engage in public life, which was rare in ancient Greece. They were respected for their contributions to the military strength of Sparta, as they were seen as playing a crucial role in raising future soldiers. This elevated status of women in Sparta is further evidenced by the fact that they enjoyed certain legal rights and freedoms that were not granted to women in other city-states. For instance, Spartan women could inherit property and own land, giving them a level of financial independence and security that was uncommon for women in ancient Greece. The high regard for women in Spartan society is also reflected in the fact that they were often involved in decision-making processes within their families, providing them with a voice and agency in household matters. In terms of numbers, it is estimated that women made up about 35% of the population in Sparta, a relatively high percentage compared to other city-states. This higher proportion of women in Sparta could have contributed to their more visible and active roles in society. The elevated status of women in Sparta was not merely a symbol of gender equality, but was deeply intertwined with the core values and objectives of Spartan society. The emphasis on producing strong and healthy offspring, the importance of physical fitness and military prowess, and the recognition of women's contributions to the well-being of the state all played a significant role in shaping the unique roles and status of women in Sparta. In comparing the status of women in Sparta and Athens, it becomes evident that there were significant differences in their roles, rights, and societal expectations. One interesting aspect is the emphasis on physical fitness and strength for Spartan women, who actively participated in athletic competitions and training to ensure they were capable of bearing healthy offspring. This focus on physical prowess was a defining feature of Spartan society and set Spartan women apart from their counterparts in Athens. In contrast, Athenian women were more confined to the domestic sphere and had limited opportunities for physical activities or public engagement. This difference in emphasis on physical fitness reflects the divergent priorities of the two city-states, with Sparta valuing military strength and resilience, while Athens prioritized intellectual and artistic pursuits. Interestingly, Spartan women enjoyed a higher level of autonomy and independence compared to Athenian women. Spartan women could inherit property, own land, and participate in decision-making processes within their families, granting them a level of financial security and agency that was uncommon in ancient Greece. In terms of numbers, Spartan women made up about 35% of the population, a relatively high percentage compared to other city-states. This higher proportion of women in Sparta likely contributed to their more visible and active roles in society, as they played a crucial role in ensuring the strength and stability of the state. On the other hand, Athenian women were largely confined to the domestic sphere and had limited legal rights and freedoms. They were expected to manage the household and raise children, with little opportunity for public engagement or involvement in political affairs. The stark contrast in the status of women in Sparta and Athens underscores the diversity of experiences and expectations for women in ancient Greece. While Spartan women enjoyed greater autonomy and participation in public life, Athenian women were largely relegated to the private sphere, with their roles focused on domestic duties and child rearing. These differing societal norms and expectations shaped the experiences and opportunities available to women in Sparta and Athens, highlighting the complexity and diversity of women's roles in ancient Greek society. In Athens, the education and upbringing of women were vastly different from those in Sparta. Athenian girls were primarily educated at home by their mothers or female relatives, focusing on domestic skills such as weaving, cooking, and managing the household. Unlike Spartan women who received physical training, Athenian women were not encouraged to participate in physical activities or sports. Moreover, formal education for girls was limited, with most girls not receiving the same level of education as boys. The primary goal of education for Athenian women was to prepare them for their roles as wives and mothers, rather than to engage in intellectual or public pursuits. Interesting numbers reveal that only a small percentage of Athenian women were literate, with literacy rates estimated to be around 10 to 15% of the female population. This stark disparity in literacy rates between men and women underscores the limited educational opportunities available to Athenian women. Despite these limitations, some elite Athenian women did receive a more formal education, particularly in music, dance, and poetry. These women were often from wealthy or noble families and had access to private tutors or schools. However, their education was still focused on cultivating skills that would make them more desirable as wives and mothers. The lack of emphasis on intellectual pursuits for women in Athens reflects the societal norms and expectations that prioritized women's roles within the household. The education and upbringing of women in Athens were deeply rooted in traditional gender roles and expectations, with limited opportunities for intellectual or personal development outside of the domestic sphere. Marriage and family life in Sparta were deeply intertwined with the core values and objectives of Spartan society. Interesting details reveal that marriage in Sparta was not based solely on romantic love, but also on eugenics, with the primary goal of producing strong and healthy offspring. Spartan women were known for their physical strength and were actively involved in physical training to ensure they were fit for childbirth. In fact, women who were deemed physically unfit were discouraged from marrying. This emphasis on physical fitness in marriage contributed to the overall strength and resilience of the Spartan population. Interestingly, Spartan women had more freedom in choosing their partners compared to women in other city-states, as they were encouraged to select husbands based on their physical prowess and ability to contribute to the military strength of Sparta. In terms of numbers, it is estimated that the average age of marriage for Spartan women was around 18 to 20 years old, while men were typically around 30 years old when they married. This age gap reflects the emphasis on producing healthy offspring, as younger women were seen as more likely to bear children successfully. Family life in Sparta revolved around the collective welfare of the state, with children being raised to prioritize the needs of the community over individual desires. Spartan families were expected to instill values of discipline, loyalty, and courage in their children, preparing them to become strong and capable citizens. The unique approach to marriage and family life in Sparta underscored the importance of physical fitness, military strength, and communal well-being in Spartan society. In Athens, the political participation of women was limited compared to their male counterparts, reflecting the patriarchal nature of ancient Greek society. Women in Athens were not allowed to participate in the democratic governance of the city-state and were excluded from political offices and decision-making processes. Despite this exclusion, there were some interesting aspects of women's political involvement in Athens. For example, women could exert influence indirectly through their relationships with male relatives who held political power. Elite Athenian women, such as the wives and daughters of prominent statesmen, could leverage their social connections to sway political decisions and advocate for their interests. These women often hosted gatherings and social events where political matters were discussed, providing them with a platform to influence the opinions of influential men. While women were not able to participate directly in the Athenian political system, they played a significant role in shaping the political landscape through their social networks and relationships. Interestingly, women in Athens also had opportunities to engage in religious and civic festivals, where they could interact with other members of society and participate in communal rituals. These festivals provided women with a sense of community and belonging, allowing them to connect with others outside of their immediate family circles. The participation of women in religious and civic festivals was an important aspect of Athenian society, as it reinforced social cohesion and solidarity among the population. In terms of numbers, it is estimated that the population of Athens during the 5th century BCE was around 250,000 to 300,000 people, with women comprising roughly half of the total population. Despite their significant numbers, women's political participation in Athens remained limited, as the democratic system primarily favored the voices and interests of male citizens. The exclusion of women from political life in Athens was a reflection of the deeply ingrained gender roles and societal norms of the time. While women in Athens had some avenues for influence and participation in social and religious spheres, their ability to engage in formal political processes was restricted. This limitation highlights the unequal power dynamics and gender disparities that characterized ancient Athenian society, where women's voices were often marginalized in the public sphere. In ancient Greece, religious roles and festivals played a significant role in the lives of women, offering them opportunities for participation and engagement in the cultural and spiritual aspects of society. Women in ancient Greece were actively involved in religious practices and rituals, serving as priestesses in various temples dedicated to different gods and goddesses. One interesting fact is that priestesses held important roles in conducting ceremonies, making offerings, and performing sacred rites, which were essential for maintaining the favor of the gods. The priestesses often played a vital role in mediating between the divine and mortal realms, acting as intermediaries in religious ceremonies and supplications. These women were highly respected within their communities for their spiritual dedication and connection to the divine. In terms of numbers, it is estimated that there were numerous cults and religious festivals dedicated to female deities in ancient Greece, highlighting the significance of women in religious worship. Festivals such as the Thesmophoria, dedicated to Demeter, celebrated women's roles in agriculture and fertility, while the Adonia festival honored the goddess Aphrodite and explored themes of love and beauty. These festivals provided opportunities for women to come together, participate in rituals, and celebrate their shared cultural and religious heritage. Women's participation in religious roles and festivals allowed them to express their devotion, connect with their communities, and affirm their place within the spiritual fabric of society. The religious practices and festivals dedicated to female deities underscored the importance of women in ancient Greek religion and highlighted their contributions to the cultural and religious life of the community. In Sparta, women enjoyed certain legal rights and freedoms that were not common in other city-states of ancient Greece. For example, Spartan women had the right to inherit property and own land, providing them with a level of financial independence and security. This legal autonomy was a reflection of the unique status of women in Spartan society, where they were valued for their contributions to the strength and stability of the state. Interestingly, Spartan women could also divorce their husbands if the marriage was deemed unsatisfactory, giving them a level of agency and control over their personal lives. In terms of numbers, it is estimated that Spartan women made up about 35% of the population, a relatively high percentage compared to other city-states, which likely contributed to their higher visibility and influence in society. On the other hand, in Athens, women faced more significant legal restrictions and limitations on their rights. Athenian women were not allowed to participate in political life or hold public office, and their legal status was largely dependent on their male relatives. For example, Athenian women were under the legal guardianship of their fathers or husbands, who had control over their property and decisions. Additionally, women in Athens had limited access to legal recourse in cases of divorce or disputes, as the legal system primarily favored male citizens. Despite these restrictions, some elite Athenian women were able to exercise influence and agency through their social connections and relationships with powerful men. The legal rights and restrictions for women in Sparta and Athens reflected the broader societal norms and expectations of gender roles in ancient Greece, highlighting the varying degrees of autonomy and agency that women experienced in different city-states. The status of women in ancient Greece had a profound impact on society and culture. In Sparta, where women enjoyed more rights and freedoms, they played a crucial role in shaping the strength and resilience of the state. The high visibility and influence of Spartan women contributed to a more egalitarian and cohesive society. In Athens, the legal restrictions on women limited their participation in public life, impacting the dynamics of the democratic system. Despite these limitations, elite Athenian women leveraged their social connections to exert influence and shape cultural norms. The differing status of women in Sparta and Athens influenced societal values, family dynamics, and cultural practices, highlighting the complex interplay between gender roles and societal structure. The study of women in ancient Greece offers a fascinating glimpse into the diverse roles and statuses of women in different city-states. One interesting detail is the physical training and athletic prowess of Spartan women, who were actively involved in sports and competitions to ensure their fitness for childbirth. In terms of numbers, Spartan women made up about 35% of the population, a significant proportion that contributed to their visibility and influence in society. On the other hand, Athenian women faced legal restrictions and limitations on their rights, highlighting the disparities in gender roles across city-states. Despite these differences, women in both Sparta and Athens played important roles in shaping the cultural and social fabric of ancient Greece. The religious roles and festivals dedicated to female deities provided women with opportunities for spiritual expression and community engagement. These festivals celebrated themes of fertility, love, and beauty, reflecting the diverse aspects of women's lives in ancient Greece. The legal rights and restrictions for women in Sparta and Athens had lasting implications for societal values and norms. Spartan women's autonomy and independence contributed to a more egalitarian society, while Athenian women's legal constraints limited their participation in public life. These contrasting experiences underscore the complexities of gender dynamics in ancient Greece. Overall, the status of women in ancient Greece had a profound impact on society and culture, shaping family structures, religious practices, and political systems. The diverse roles and statuses of women in Sparta and Athens reveal the intricate interplay between gender, power, and tradition in ancient Greek society.